I like to have that
Good
earphones on.
evening, this is Bill Cooper, and the name of the show here is Savannah at Night. And we are on WRUU-LP Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings Community Radio with Global Soul. And the purpose of the show is to introduce the people in Savannah and area with people that are involved in the arts, whether it's acting, comedy, poetry, whatever they want to do in the arts. And my show, the gist of this show is to get you to meet some of the people that I have been involved with in the arts. And tonight I have two nice people here. They're comedians, they're local comedians, and I've known them probably about a year, not much longer than a year. And I'd like you to say hello to Nichelle Stephens.
Hello.
And to Jay Bogus.
Hey.
Okay. Anyway, welcome to. As I said, you're both comedians. I've been doing stand-up comedy close to 5 years now, and we all know it's not easy. And I've told new people, if you want to do it, step up there and don't be afraid of failing. That is the thing that's, oh, well, what if they don't know? It doesn't matter. The fact that you did it, you can find out if you've got it. You'll never know if you don't stand up there. And no point in, wishing you had done something when you had a chance to. No one's going to throw rocks at you. I mean, really, the crowds are respectful. The ones that I've been to, very, very few hecklers. I mean, almost can't count them. And that's in 5 years. And, it's just, if there's something you enjoy doing, and I've always had the ability to make people laugh, even at inappropriate times, like in class when I was young. But, if it's in you and you want to do it, I urge you to do it. But for you listening, if you just like comedy, there are so many good scenes in Savannah now, and that has only been in the last few years. There was like one place to do it when I first started, just one place. And the other, the Wormhole had out-of-town comedians come in, but none of the locals. We only had one place to go, and it has grown incredibly. So almost every night of the week, except for Sunday, there is comedy. So, Nichelle, tell us how you got involved in it.
Okay, so I got started with comedy actually by running a show. I ran a show in New York when I lived in New York. I started a show featuring all-female comedians called Chicks and Giggles. And that show ran for like about 3.5 years. And it first was monthly, and then it became weekly. And weekly shows, as you know, takes a lot of time and effort, and I had a co-producer helping me out. And I ended that show around 2008. And other than me hosting a few times, I didn't really perform that much. I really liked comedy, but I was actually kind of afraid. And every once in a while, I may do like some storytelling. And then when I moved here and hearing about, the first time I did open mic was at Cynthia Bean almost 2 years ago. And then I was like, yeah, I could do this again. And I just started going to like Chuck's and your show at Foxy Lotsy, and I'm just meeting other comedians. And then sometimes I'll, spend some time in a cafe and actually write jokes and kind of throw out ideas and get feedback from the other local comedians.
Okay, so you say you worked in the scene, but you didn't really get on stage except for hosting. What was that push that got you to step up there in front of people and try to make them laugh?
One reason why I think I did it here is because I didn't know a lot of people, so I wasn't afraid of being embarrassed.
That's a good point. It's an excellent point, right?
So I think that was really the push. And then also I just figured it might be a way to meet people. But yeah, the first thing was like, I was less fearful because I wasn't going to be doing it in front of people that I knew.
Okay, right. And I don't know. I guess it's personal pride. If you fail at anything, you take it too serious. Your friends, if they're friends, and your family, they don't beat you up over it. That you did good, but, need some work and go out and do it again. I mean, that's the way I think we put those pressures on ourselves. And you're right. As you said, I was afraid to go up there, but not really afraid. But, it's hard to take that first step. So, Jay, okay, when did you first take your first step on a stage to do comedy?
The first time I actually went on stage to do comedy was about it's going on 2 years ago. It was at Chuck's. One of my good friends, Zach Albers, those in the comedy community know him. A few months before, he was looking into getting into stand-up comedy, and I took him down to Chuck's bar. He wanted me to film one of his sets for him, like his first set. So I took him down there, and, he did a great job for his first set.
He did.
And, and that was, and I went back home, sent him his video and stuff. And then, stand-up's always been something I've been very curious about. Like, probably about going on like 8 years now. Like 8 years ago, I was living in California, and I was really debating on going to like the comedy club out there and trying out some jokes.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know anybody out there, and I was just really scared about going up and doing it. And I had wrote a bunch of jokes down that I was going to do, but I just never went up and did them. But probably about 6 or 7 months later, I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to go and follow Zach up there and go try a set out and see how it goes. Like, what's the worst that's going to happen? Like,
and what happened?
And I had a really great set.
I know you did. Yeah.
And it was really it was very nerve-wracking the first time up there. It was almost like an out-of-body experience, but just seeing the crowd react to all your jokes and everything the way that you wanted them to, it was like, oh, this is pretty cool.
No, you both mentioned writing them, and that's what I get the biggest kick out of. If I can make someone laugh, and everything we do, it's all our own. We don't get it off the internet. We don't get it from old jokes we heard years ago. We write our own stuff, and that's where the feeling of pride comes in. When you get someone laughing at something that you came up with, and you're presenting, you're not just reading a joke in front of them. You're telling them something you created. That's like cooking a good meal or something. It's a good feeling.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I've actually heard people say to me, do you write your own material? I was like, of course. Like, I guess sometimes people maybe think that you are actually, like reading jokes off of a joke book or something you found out the internet or something like that. And I mean, comedians take pride in what they write.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And to call yourself a comedian. And it used to be, people would call me a comedian because I couldn't be serious. But now I take it, as a compliment because it's a hard thing to do. And if you do it well, you have a right to be proud. And I get back to Savannah again here. It's a bigger small city, I call it. It's not a small city. It's not a big city. It's a decent sized city, and it's just so nice to know that you can go out so many times and see comedy in this city and see young people. And when I host a show that you mentioned, I tell the audience before we start, remember, we're all amateurs coming up here, but we're trying our best to make you happy for a night. So and I think that just sets the tone, like to be respectful, and after I said that the first time, I never have to say it again because they're not only respectful, but they get into it. I mean, you have sometimes you don't want the comedian to get off the stage if they're so good. I mean, they're just killing it. And, so you give them a few extra minutes and go for it, run with it. And then other times people are struggling. And I've seen good comedians that have had good sets and just not have it on a particular night. I've been there. We've all been there.
It
Yes,
happens.
it happens.
And it's not a good feeling, but, as I said, when I did it the first time, I never let that. When I walked off the stage, I didn't make anyone laugh. The first thing I said, I will figure this out. It was a challenge to me. It didn't scare me. It didn't bother me. I'm too old to be bothered for silly stuff like that. I really am. So I says, I will figure it out. And it made me work harder, and which is a good thing.
I feel like the moment that really defined it for me, it was like, okay, I'm gonna keep at this. Was I think I did a show at the Wormhole, and like as soon as I got off stage, everybody was coming up to me just like, oh man, that one joke you did was amazing, and there was this other guy who's like, come here man, let me buy you a drink.
Wow.
Like when somebody buys you drinks, like there's been like 3 separate occasions where you get off and somebody in the crowd will pull you over to the bar and here, let me get you a drink.
I've never had that.
Me neither. I've never gotten it.
Nice going, Jay.
Yeah, you're doing
What
way
was the
better.
joke? I'll say it was mine.
Yeah, me
Just
too.
to, and then if I don't get a drink, I'll say that was Jay's.
Okay.
I mean, it was like I think that joke I did was like a reference to iPhone factories and child slavery or something.
Yeah. Now, once again, that brings up a point. Almost every joke I do starts off with a kernel of truth, and then you just stretch it to make it silly.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I do it. But I mean, it seems it's and you know, it's the same as I guess as a writer that writes stories or books that they say you write from your experience, what you've seen or what you've felt or what you've done in your life, and I think all of my jokes are from a kernel of truth, and then by the time I finish it has nothing to do with the truth, but it's, you know, that's how you build it up to make it funny.
I agree.
Yeah, the way I see it, the way I try to write my jokes is, you know, I try to be kind of socially conscious, I guess, in a way, but not in a way that's heavy-handed.
Right.
You know, like
you don't want to make it
guilt trip the crowd.
Right.
Anything,
Exactly.
but you do want to point something out that's like a serious issue and be able to make them laugh about it. You know, like I look at things that I'm conflicted about, and I just, you know, find ways to kind of make people think about it also. Like with my like with the iPhone thing, you know, like with Apple's been under fire for using children in like China to make their phones and stuff, and it's like, you know, people kind of turn a blind eye to it because they have iPhones. Like, I got an iPhone too. It was like, how do I reconcile that? I mean, the phone's it's really great, you know, but all this other stuff is going on. But how do you make people laugh about that without going too heavy on it or making people feel guilty about it?
But a lot of the comedians, Dick Gregory, George Carlin, social commentary. This is what's going on. This is what's wrong. And they could. I remember George Carlin doing a set and talking about how ridiculous people were. I don't even remember what it was. And he says, you know, why are you laughing? I'm talking about you.
Yeah.
You know, he just stopped right in the middle of it and says, I'm talking about, this is what you do every day. And, you know, it's just, have you ever thought about it?
Yeah, Colin was
right.
one of the
But
best.
that's a good point, you know. I mean, social commentary and things that are going on in the news now, and you can't avoid them. I mean, you have to say something. And once again, you don't want to you don't want it to turn into preaching.
Yeah.
You don't want to stand up there and hit them on the head. You know, this is the way it should be, and stop thinking that and that. But you got to make it funny. I mean, you got to make it funny, and that is a good way of getting your point across for social commentary. Nichelle?
Yeah, sometimes social commentary, but I kind of take a lot of my personal experiences or personal observations and incorporate them into a joke. Can't really think of any joke I can say here on the air, though. But I think that the thing is, I actually did go to a humor writing seminar once, and they said something about like, it's way better to be more as specific. I can't say that word right.
Specific?
As possible. Meaning Tropicana is funnier than orange juice. So, like, mentioning a name brand or mentioning an actual person as opposed to just being very generic.
Makes it funnier?
It makes it funnier. And then another thing that I remember is, and that's definitely something that's used in comedy a lot, like the power of three. Like, you give 3 examples, and maybe the third one is the funniest.
Okay,
yeah.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, and sometimes you develop that, as you said, you took a class for that. I went to a seminar for it, and sometimes you develop that just figuring it out yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like watching stand-up comedians, just seeing how they flow, like all the greats, and seeing how they put their jokes together and their build-up and how they flow with everything. You know, I think that pretty much every comedian has somebody or has a select group of comedians that, like, they really look up to.
Exactly.
And, you know, have inspired them to write.
I think George Carlin was it for me. And I remember back when it was, now, you guys know me. I do what they call a clean set. I just don't, you know, and I don't knock anyone who does comedy any other way. All I'm saying is, I challenged myself to do that. I said, if I can make people in a bar room, adults in a bar room, laugh without, you know, and keeping it clean, that was my goal. And I've, you know, to me, I've succeeded in doing it, and I'm, you know, very proud of myself that I can do it. But as always, George Carlin, his first album there, A Class Clown, and there wasn't a bad word on it, there wasn't a swear on it, and you think if people that saw George Carlin in his later years say, "Well, you're talking about the same George Carlin?"
Yeah.
Well, that's how he started off. He started up with very clean and very homogenized and acceptable. They could play it anyway. They could play it on any radio station. But it was a riot. It was fun. It stands up today. That's how good it was. And I think he was my inspiration. Nichelle, any comedians that inspired you?
Well, I used to look at Def Comedy Jam, and I just think of I loved Martin Lawrence and Chris Tucker, Chris Rock, Dave Chappelle,
Great
comics.
Stuff.
Yeah,
Great
then I'm
stuff.
I'm just thinking women comics, actually, probably Monique and Adele Givens. I'm just trying to think of the ones that I used to see on Def Comedy Jam. Because I didn't see Wanda Sykes until much later, but I'm just thinking of the women comics that I saw when I watched Def Comedy Jam.
I used to have to sneak and watch Def Comedy Jam.
Yeah, came on late on HBO.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Wanda Sykes, I thought she was brilliant.
Yeah, she was very good.
Absolutely, I dug her. And speaking of that, there's a lot of females, women that are in comedy in the comedy scene here. There are a lot of them. Nichelle, there's sometimes you have 2 and 3 in a row. When I do Foxy, I have usually from 17 to 20 comedians, and sometimes you'll have 3 women in a row. So it's nice to see everyone participate. Everyone gets a shot at it, and everyone, come up there. This is your voice. Use it.
Actually, to compare to New York, actually, on an open mic here, there's better representation of women here than it would be at a New York comedy show.
Wow.
And that's one reason why I wanted to do a show full of women comics, because they would not see each other. They would be there'd be one woman or maybe 2.
Yeah, and that would be interesting. Definitely that would all women. That would be excellent. I'm thinking all tall old guys. Speaking of, you had mentioned Zach Albers earlier. Now, Zach, I like Zach. Who couldn't? Just a great guy.
Yeah.
And funny. And you could talk to him, and you could poke fun of him, and he'd give it back to you. I love that back and forth. That's what we did when I grew up. That was, as I said, if your friend wasn't making fun of you, what's the matter with you? You get a headache or something? Go home until it's better. But anyway, Zach's about 6'5". I know, because I'm 6'3", right? So anyway, when I was having problems, and I had to wear these shoes that actually added 2 inches to me. So now, after knowing Zach for months, right, I'm talking to him, and I know something in the back of his mind is saying something's wrong. I'm looking at Bill eye to eye, and he couldn't figure it out. He just didn't realize, that all of a sudden I'm 2 inches taller. But you could tell that just the look that come over his face when he's talking to me, he's kind of looking like, I'm a different person. And I never told him. So, if he's listening tonight, haha, Zach got you.
Yeah, I think my comedy inspirations as far as stand-up comedians, I gotta say Richard Pryor has definitely been probably my biggest one.
Gotta be.
I've never laughed so hard as when I saw his Live at the Sunset Strip.
That's a classic.
And I think what really made that stand out the most, what I really got from that, is how he took. One thing about comedians is that most of us usually have very strange personal lives. That would be kind of an understatement. And he took a lot of what he was going through and just made it all hilarious. He was going through some very dark stuff, like with drug addiction.
Right. And even when he set himself on fire, he would joke about that rather than I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, he made it hilarious.
Yes, he did.
That whole story he told about that was one of the funniest sets I've ever seen.
He was
there was just
brilliant.
No bounds for him,
and he could change gears in so fast you didn't realize he's talking about something different because he could do that so fast, and you could tell the mind was always churning. It's just brilliant, brilliant stuff.
And Chris Rock, I think, is probably my other favorite, just because of how easily he's able to talk about these serious social issues, but then break them down so simple that it's in such a relatable way that it's hilarious.
Everything in life is simple. We complicate it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And nothing is complicated. A rocket is simple if you put it together one part at a time. But we have a way of complicating things that should be absolutely simple, no question asked, and then, I don't know why we do it. And I'm saying we because I'm probably as guilty as anyone, but it's just not right,
Yeah. And, of course, Dave Chappelle, I mean, he's...
I love him.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That was pretty cool. He actually was. He came down to Savannah.
Did you see that show?
Yeah,
you were there.
I
Good for you.
Got into that show.
Did you go to the
I
show?
wasn't there.
Okay, just to remind folks, we're talking with Nichelle Stephens and Jay Bogus, and I'm Bill Cooper, your host here of Savannah at Night, and we're on WRUULP Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings, community radio with global soul. All right, back to my guest. This is good. This is rolling nice. So tell us about Dave.
Yeah, the day that happened, I was actually sick. Like I had left work, went back home, and I saw a bunch of people on Facebook just like, "Oh, Dave Chappelle's coming to the wormhole. Dave Chappelle's supposed to be coming to the wormhole." And I was like, "Whatever. Like there's no way.
Yeah, right.
Why would Dave Chappelle do a show at the wormhole? Like whatever." So then I think it was Mo Schreffler. Hey Mo. Mo posted a picture like, "Yeah, I'm outside the wormhole waiting for this show." So I'm like, "Wait a minute, is this for real?" So I called Mo. I was like, "Hey, is this like a real thing?" And she was like, "Yeah, it's he's here. He's coming." So I was like, "Oh man." So I jump in the car immediately, just throw my stuff on, sick and all, and just jet down to the wormhole. And I'm like, I jump out the car, I'm wind sprinting down the street, and I turn around, I see Stephen Mays behind me, wind sprinting. He's like, "Jay, did you hear too?" I was like, "Yeah." So we get up to the wormhole. We see there's a line like just going like all the way down the street, and we jump in the line, and there's these people out there, all these suits and production assistants out there.
Wow.
They're handing out release forms down the line and stuff.
Okay, I'm going to hold you on that thought for 1 second. I have to give an announcement here from our friends at Sentient Being. We'll be right back, but that's a great story. Dave Chappelle here in Savannah.
This portion of WRUULP Savannah Soundings programming is made possible by a grant from Sentient Being, offering fair trade coffee, vegan and vegetarian food, and breakfast all day. Located at 13 East Park Avenue, across the street from the tennis courts at Forsyth Park. Our menu and special events listings can be found at sentientbeing.com.
Okay, we're back. All right, we're back now, and this is Savannah at Night, your host, Bill Cooper, and once again, my guests are Jay Bogus and Nichelle Stephens, and a quick announcement I have to read. Span the Gap, an association of local artists and community activists, has joined with the Beach Institute to sponsor a symposium which will be a free public discussion on the renaming the Talmadge Bridge, moderated by the Honorable Dr. Otis S. Johnson, former mayor of Savannah. Renaming the Talmadge Bridge discussion will be held at the Savannah Theater, which is at 222 Bull Street on Chippewa Square from 6:30 until 8:30 p.m. on Tuesday, September 5th, 2017. The public is invited to attend this free event. All right, back to Dave Chappelle at the wormhole.
Yeah, so the PAs are handing out release forms to everybody, and they got up to me finally. I was just praying the whole time, like, please don't let them run out, like, right before they get to me. Like, my luck is usually that way to where it happens. And they got to me, I signed the stuff, and probably like the fifth person behind me is where they cut off.
Woo.
And I think it was Aaron Odom that was like, he was like right at the cutoff.
Did he get in or
no? I don't think he got in. But like right in front of him. But
did you hear what happened to Mo?
Yeah,
she went outside to get cigarettes, and they wouldn't let her back in because they said no readmission.
Yeah, that was
she missed
crazy.
the show. That's terrible. Mo's such a nice kid.
Yeah,
that was awful. I was sorry to hear that.
And they made everybody turn their phones in and stuff. Like you had to. Searched you. You had to put your phone in a little case and stuff.
And that's
I
understood.
appreciated that because it made you really just appreciate the moment you were in instead of just, trying to show everybody you were there. Just live in the moment.
Did he do a long set?
Yeah, he didn't really do any of his written material. He said something about, it'd be like a violation of the contract or whatever.
Yeah, who
but
knows?
He just went up and like riffed, and it was hilarious. He was just riffing on everybody in the crowd and just talking about whatever was going on, and it was hilarious. It was a great show.
Good. What I like about him is, before he says anything, the look in his eyes and the way he holds his mouth, I start laughing already. I know it's going to be good. I mean, before he says a word, all I'd have to do is give that look and wave to everyone, good night, everyone, and that would be fine. I'd still be laughing.
And we had some of our best local comedians got to open up for him.
Super.
Melanie Goldie got to open for him. I think Derek Marshall hosted that show. Chris is lame.
Yeah.
Got to do a set. Like, it was a very huge opportunity for them too. So it was pretty cool that that got to happen. Yeah,
and good for them. As I say, it's a vibrant comedy scene here in Savannah. It really is, and it's growing. And some of the folks, as Zach Albers, he's going to Chicago. Derek's gone to Atlanta. Some of them, and Mike and Stacy, Mike McGuire, they were a big part of this, and now they're going on and still doing it in the cities that they've gone to. So I mean, this really is like a nucleus that people are leaving, that are leaving anyway, and keeping it going somewhere else. And it's just, it's good to see that something that started here in a little nutshell is doing so well.
Yeah, it's a good springboard for, depending on wherever you're trying to go with whatever you feel is best for your career and what you're trying to do with it. And me personally, I feel like Savannah is it's growing a lot as far as the film community is going.
Oh, huge.
It's constantly growing. And we've got so many big Hollywood productions coming down and that have been here and stuff.
Yep.
And there's so much to do and get into if that's your lane.
This is what I say. The arts in this community this size is enormous, and one of the huge reasons is Savannah College of Art and Design, which, they have, I think, 7,000 students here in Savannah, and just their involvement in the arts brings it up another level that cities that don't have something of that sort just can't grasp onto. And, as I say, you're lucky in a city of this size if you have one community theater. You really are.
Yeah.
And maybe one comedy club that might do it one night a week or once a month or something. We're fortunate to have these opportunities for anyone that wants to get up there. Try it. Try your chops.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in this city as far as like all different types of the arts.
Yeah.
So it's very nurturing towards artistic people.
Yes, and which is good to see, because people involved in the arts, they don't have any, they just like people, and they just work with people, and that's it. There's never any problem. I've never seen any problem at all to speak of. In all the films I've done, the young people I've worked with at SCAD have been incredibly good. If I hear someone put young people down and say, stop it, you don't know what you're talking about. The bad ones make the paper, but there's a ton of good people around. Concentrate on that. Where they need, but I always say the bad have better press agents.
Yeah,
because we hear from them more often.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. So anyway, talking about a thought comes to you. I don't know why, and this you may not even think it's funny, but I'm thinking last night how words. Someone had said something. Oh, these are funny words, and you had mentioned, what was the word you said was funny? Did you take a course or something? There was a word. Oh, was it you, Nichelle?
Oh, yeah.
What was the word you said instead of a brand name?
Oh, Tropicana is
instead of orange.
It's
All right.
funny.
So anyway, I'm thinking last night, the letter A. The letter A is a word, and I'm thinking how it changes something. If someone says to you, "What are you eating?" A chicken sandwich. Fine, not funny at all. Someone says, "Well, hey, what are you getting your sandwich?" A chicken.
Yeah.
If you said, what are you getting sandwich? A steak, no one laughs, but a chicken in your sandwich, it just struck me. I'm laughing like a silly goose last night, and I kept thinking of different things. You get fried chicken? Yeah. Well, fry me a chicken, will you? Give me a chicken and fry it. It seemed much funnier than I'll work on it. As I say, I'll work on it. I ain't throwing it out.
This is how we work on our bits.
It
Yeah.
is.
You gotta
We work
workshop
on
it.
It is.
Word choice matter.
Yeah. And I went to one the other day, with let's see, it was Gerard and Andre Rodriguez and Edward Southpaw, as he calls himself. And we did it at one of the local coffee shops, and it was fun because even for the couple of ideas you get, it's 2 hours of just kidding around with each other, and and then something comes out of that, and then hey, wait a minute, it really is a good idea to get together and do that now.
Yeah, and that's like most of the time when I come up with my best stuff, it's usually just me hanging out at the house with my brother. Because we've always been very just, jokey people.
Yep.
And we'll just sit around and talk about whatever, and then we'll say something crazy to make the other one laugh. Like, man, I should write that down. Like, that would be a pretty good set. So I've come up with, like, maybe a 10-minute bit in, like, maybe 2 days, of just talking trash with my brother.
Now, do you have, Nichelle, do you have a sister or a brother? Or?
I have 2 sisters. I'm the oldest of 3.
Now, your relationship with them, was it kind of, as we were saying, I have 2 brothers and I had 2 sisters, and, I was always the clown of the house, but I'd bounce stuff off.
No, because I was the oldest, so I was the responsible one, so I really...
What a burden.
Yeah. So, if anything, I would probably make jokes with my first cousins because they're around the same age as me. Mm-hmm. So that's where that happened, not with my sisters. But my dad, he loves comedy. Like, to this day, if he is, like, with his remote and he'll spot, stand up on, like, any channel, it doesn't matter, he'll stop and start looking at it. He loves stand-up. I don't know if he'd ever do it, but he does love stand-up comedy.
Has he seen you do a set?
He saw a video of that. One of the times that I was recorded at Foxy Lassie, he did see that.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Good. And what did he say?
He said, "Oh, you're funny, Shell."
Nice going. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good. It's nice when someone comes. My wife, Marianne, when she's in the audience, and she can't come all the time, but when she does, it just it brings me up a level. It makes me feel good that she's there. And I did a gig recently, and my daughter came up from Florida, and my wife was there, and I look out and I see them, and it just means so much to me that this is it. This is family. I know what they think of me, and I can't let them down. I really can't let them down. And I tell you, it just gives me another little hand on my back to deliver. Yeah. And it's nice, as I say, when family or friends get involved. You said your brother and you said your father, and that's nice when they, have a part of what you're doing.
Yeah, my parents haven't seen one of my actual sets yet, but they might soon. It's not that they don't want to, but it's gonna be awkward, I guess, if they do. But they did come to see me perform at. We did a certain show at the Wormhole. I think it was the Drunk at the Movie show, and that was pretty fun. And my girlfriend.
So they have seen you perform.
Yeah, they've seen me
good.
perform.
Yeah.
My girlfriend actually saw me perform one of my sets for the first time a couple weeks ago, and she was just like, "Wow, that was kind of crazy," but you had the crowd going, so.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
One time, excuse me, I'm too new to know where the cough button is. Anyway, one time I was doing, and it was a good joke. I know it was good. It was funny, but absolutely zero response. I won't tell you where it was. I'll just say zero response. And I stopped. I said, "Excuse me," and I started laughing. I said, "I'm going to laugh at this because I know it's funny." Then when I stopped laughing, I just looked at them and said, "I hate you." And they busted out laughing.
Yeah.
That's what it took. Seriously, I took something that wasn't working, and all I had to say was, "I hate you," and then bang, they all busted out laughing. So, wow, okay.
Yeah,
whatever it takes.
I've had some pretty surprising sets too. Just one thing I've noticed that I try to do is whenever I'm going to a venue, like I'll usually have a set prepared of what I'm gonna do. But if I go in there and I see who the crowd is, and I see if I'm reading the crowd and I'm like, oh, this crowd might not like these type of jokes. So I'll go through and kind of
sometimes you
tailor
can be
them a certain
surprised.
ways.
Excuse me. I mean, sometimes you can be surprised.
Yeah.
You know, I've done that. And I thought, hey, this is the material I got. I'm going to go. If they don't get it and they catch right onto it, or just the opposite, you say they're going to love it, and then they're staring at you.
Yeah.
So,
That's
I don't think you can really gauge that by looking at the crowd. But if you can.
But like some places,
tell
it's
me
like,
how.
you know, it's like I can tell this is going to be a very conservative crowd. Like they're not going to really go for these type of jokes.
Yeah.
But then,
I know that. Yeah.
But then when I'll go and just tailor them a certain way and just go in and actually get a good reaction, I was like, okay, that kind of worked out. Like, all right.
Man, this guy's going places.
I don't
Down.
I don't change necessarily for the crowd. I might change the order sometimes, but I'm not gonna read the crowd and say, okay,
No,
I can't. I don't have that many jokes.
I agree with you there. I can't do that. It's like when I have a set, it's in my pocket, and I try not to refer to it. Every now and then I'll say, listen, I'm tired, I'm old, cut me some slack, I'm going to look at the paper. And then if you explain it to them, they accept it. You know, because it was the first thing. I think you all know that when you put the phone away or you put the paper away and do it, you get more respect from the crowd.
Yeah,
you really
you do.
And you have to learn that to do it early.
And I mean, like a lot of the stuff I usually end up changing is because if I see a crowd is older, they're like, oh, they might not get the references.
That's what you have to be careful there. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That is something.
They all ain't cool like me.
Yeah, I don't. I've actually sometimes have thought about changing some of the references to try to figure out if they will work better. But I think for the most part, I try to keep with the same because I think there's enough people to understand it, and I think laughter is contagious. So I think sometimes people are laughing even if they don't get it.
They join in because people around. That's absolutely right. It's I don't know, the herd mentality or something. It's what happens.
Yeah.
You know, and as you said, that's our paycheck, man. When someone's laughing at something we wrote, that's cool.
Yeah.
That is absolutely cool. All right, I just want to change gears here for a second.
Okay.
Nichelle, did you do any acting in high school or college or any time in your life?
Not even. I did it when I was really young. I played Piglet in Winnie the Pooh when I was like 8 or 9 years old.
Wow, but not since then?
And then maybe when I was 10, I was actually in a high school production of Carousel because they needed kids.
But they needed a piglet.
Well, they needed. For Carousel, they just needed one of the kids to be part of the. Yeah. But no, I didn't do it. Yeah, the only other time I acted, actually, I was in a TV commercial for a college in New York.
Good.
And it was a non-speaking role where they just wanted like 5 people that looked like they were doing continuing education to be in the elevator, meaning like. Mm-hmm. The elevator is like synonymous with us improving our lives.
Okay, but you were in that.
Yeah, and then there was someone doing a voiceover. But yeah, I was acting in a commercial for continuing education. That's it.
Excuse me, Jay. Same question. What's your acting experience?
I did a few school plays like growing up, and I went to SCAD for a little while. I did a couple of student films and then worked on some sets and stuff too.
Okay.
So that was pretty cool. That was about the extent of it. Like I prefer being behind the camera more than anything else. But I mean, I like goofing around too. Like if I can, I prefer to like control how everything looks like behind the camera and just let everybody else
more like a
do
director
their thing.
angle.
Yeah. And I'd rather do that than be in front of the camera personally. But I have like if I've worked on somebody else's movie or something, like I'll go and just have a blast, you know.
Good.
But
all right. So I'm curious because really not much acting experience for either one of you. And I never acted when I was young, not in high school, not in college, never community theater, zero. And, you know, not to bore the crowd, because I've said it before in the show, the first time I acted, I was 60 years old. First time I stepped on a stage. And all I will say is about the audition. When I went there, I actually had to sing a song. It was a musical, Into the Woods, and I had to sing. And when I'm walking out on the stage, I says, I have no business here unless I walk out there like I bought and paid for this stage. And I did. And I just slammed them in the face with the best I could do. And I got the part. And I went home. I was amazed. I don't care if they call me. I don't care. I had the guts to do it. I had to see in my life something I always wanted to do. I always wanted to act, but I never had the opportunity. I was busy. I had 3 kids. I was busy and could not do it. And but it was something I put off. And that was 13 years ago, so if you're good at math, you know how old I am. But it went from there, and I was still involved in it. Do either SCAD films. I've done. I'm thinking close to 50 SCAD films. I've been in a ton of them.
Oh wow!
They should name a hall after me. I'm telling you, I don't want it to be the Bill Cooper Memorial Hall. I want to see where it is. Anyway, but I love acting and I love comedy, and I just, and it doesn't matter, serious acting or comedy. I love it. I am just always was a ham bone, and that's it. If I'm in a room, I'm in it. Yeah. And I've always been that way. But acting, I'm thinking it's like a natural that if you want to do comedy, it's both, that you like acting or you did a lot of it, but. 0 for 2, huh?
I've always been really big on film. Just like growing up, we didn't really get like cable TV until I was like 10. Mm-hmm. So all we used to do was just go rent movies, like
the VCRs.
Yep, we go to the little mom.
Yeah, are you the one that didn't rewind them, or the one that did?
No, we actually had like one of the little rewinders.
Yeah, we did too.
It's just specifically for rewinding the tape. Put the tape in the rewinder. And
I just paid the buck.
I can't believe that someone actually thought that was something worth making, and then a lot of people bought them.
Like the VCR didn't rewind it itself.
Yeah.
And the reason is it saved you $1, because they would fine you $1 if you brought it back unwound, because they had to take the time to do it.
Yeah, we would just sit up and just watch. We'd go every weekend to like a mom and pop store. We'd rent like maybe 6 or 7 movies.
What kind of movies?
Oh, man. My mom was amazing. She would rent me the most craziest, like, gory horror type stuff. And I'm like 6. And we'd sit up and watch that all weekend. And, yeah, I've probably seen every B movie made between, like, 88 and 94.
Wow.
So, yeah. So that's what I grew up like watching, and just always just being able to just when you don't have anything else to do but just like sit and watch movies and read and stuff, you spend a lot of time in your head and just coming up with your own stuff. So that's like when I one day I just decided, like, you know what, I want to make movies. Like, I'm gonna make my own movies. I know movies. I know what's entertaining. I know what I would like to see. So I'm going to go make what I want to see. So that's what got me started on like going out to, I moved out to California, tried to get into a film school out there. But that was like when California was going broke. There was a whole financial crisis out there. It was crazy to live. So that's when I moved back here to go to SCAD.
Yeah.
And, took film here.
And it's helped you. Have you done anything with it that that you've been able to publish or get?
Oh yeah, we actually just last month we were in the Savannah 48-hour film festival, and we won an award for that. Also, we won best choreography for our short film.
Excellent.
And for those who don't know, the Savannah 48-hour film festival is it's just the Savannah chapter of it, but it's like a worldwide thing that goes on.
Yeah.
Where you go in, they give everybody, you pull a movie genre out of a hat, and you have 48 hours from then to write, shoot, edit, complete, and turn in the movie. And like,
And a minute later is too late. That's it. You lost.
That's it.
All
You're
that
done.
work is for nothing.
Yeah, and it's a lot of sleepless nights. You know, that's probably our second award we won. We won probably about 3 or 4 years ago. It was a film me and Zach Albers did together, actually. Wow. We won Best Visual Effects for that one. So
good, excellent.
Yeah, we're working on just trying to submit to some bigger festivals now too, like across the states. Pretty much see where that goes.
And I wish you the best, as I say. And if you ever need a old buck experienced actor, I can find you one in a hurry.
All right.
Tell us about Natty Savannah.
So when I moved here, like a little over 2 years ago, I decided to create a blog. And even though the Savannah Sayanets were leaving the baseball team, I figured Natty Savannah would be available as a URL, and I snapped it up. And I started writing about like places I went to eat and events I went to. And what I decided is that Savannah's a Facebook town. So no one was really reading my blog. And only since the spring, I decided to come up with a Facebook page.
Right.
And a lot of people are responding to the Facebook page. And I post comedy shows, art openings, things that are going on downtown, even things that are going on with the city. Like if the city council has a meeting or they're talking about zoning stuff. So I feel like I can't be the one-stop shop, but I'm actually kind of really trying to curate a lot of good information about what's going on in Savannah, because I don't see one place that's doing all of what I'm listing, meaning like there's things like on the Connect and I see things from friends, but I feel like I'm just finding a lot of different things and pulling that into one Facebook page, and people are like really responding to it.
And you're doing a good job on it.
Thank you.
It really is. There's interesting things. Something I can't get to everything. I mean,
I'm not suggesting.
But I mean, at least you're throwing it out there so people that are interested can get to see it and to know that it's around and to know it's out there. You're right. It's a Facebook town.
It's a Facebook town.
It really is. I mean, that so far that's when. In 6 years from now, we'll say, "Remember Facebook? It was like MySpace, wasn't it? I mean, did anyone still on Facebook? Who knows? I mean, that's the way the world goes. It might be.
Facebook seems to have like figured out how to keep that longevity going. It's been like over 10 years for them now.
You ever hear of Polaroid?
Yeah.
They had to figure out the only game in town if you wanted instant. The only game in town.
And I think that's what Facebook is doing. They're cornering the market.
Well, I know, but be careful because people all of a sudden, as a group, they get tired. They want something new and different. All I'm saying, I'm not putting Facebook down. I think, it's a great way to connect.
Oh, yeah.
I remember one time, and there was actually two ladies older than me, and they were talking about Facebook. These kids were on Facebook. I said, I had to get on it. And they both laughed. I said, no, I had to get on it because they stopped putting auditions for plays and movies that were coming to town in the newspaper. So, I had to get on it for that reason. Yeah. And basically, it was just people involved in the arts that was it. In fact, I didn't even let my family would send me friend requests. I have to call them and say, listen, you know me, nothing personal. I don't want this to be a family page. I just want I consider it a business, and it is. And so, anyway, I had to make up a whole nother page for my family.
Yeah, I totally understand that.
But that's what I use it for, and that's what it's about.
Yeah, because like the Savannah newspaper is so thin. I mean, and there's just not a lot of information that you're going to get out of that, like either for jobs or auditions or, community calendar kind of information.
Exactly.
You might find more on the website, but I mean, how many people are going there? Like, there are statistics of how like people go on Facebook at least 2 or 3 times a day. So hopefully, my goals for Natty Savannah is eventually to have it be something that I can make a little money off of, because hopefully I get a big enough audience that people want to advertise on Natty Savannah on that Facebook page. Mm-hmm. That's what I want. That's a long-term goal. But right now I'm just like, here, I won't charge the people who read it, but if someone wants to do a sponsored post and they don't have the they don't have the audience that I do, they can just leverage off of mine for a small fee.
And good for you. I mean, start something like that. And before I'll get to you in a second, Jay, about your 21 nuke salute. Oops, 21 nukes. But yeah, you're right. It's the place to go today. It really is. And as I say, I'm not wishing it good or evil. I'm just saying that's what it is. It's everyone goes to it, and it really has. I get a ton of information from it. As I say, especially on films I might be interested going to a casting call on, or a play I might be interested in going to. It's just it's nice to know that it's there at your fingertip.
Yeah, the thing with Facebook is it's like a monster now. Like if there's another, like when Instagram first came out and everybody was like, "Ooh, Instagram's the new thing," and Facebook came and bought Instagram and then integrated that into Facebook. You know, like they whenever they smell blood in the water or something that's a threat to them, they just buy it and assimilate it.
Well, that's big business, you know. And once it's $1 billion business, it's a different rules. We all know that it's different rules. Now, Jay, tell us about 21 Nuke Salute. And I nagged him and Gerard so much they had to let me on it. They didn't want me on it. They just want me to stop nagging them.
No, 21 Nuke Salute is my production company that I started. It's basically we work on short films. We're doing we do a weekly or bi-weekly now podcast, just where we talk about current events and whatever's going on. And, you know, we're just coming from every different angle. Like, whatever we feel that's creative that we can do, we just do it. And it's all about just expressing ourselves artistically about whatever's going on and just giving our point of view on the world is how we see it. And of course, we got the short film angles. We're working on a lot of sketch comedy right now also. And like you said, it's a Facebook town, so we have the Facebook page for it, 21 Nuke Salute. We just started branching into covering music, and like whatever music is out, we'll do like our own version of music reviews in our own unique style. And Gerard's a big wrestling fan, so he'll do a lot of.
I never knew that.
Yeah, he'll do a lot of stuff on wrestling, and you know, we've got stuff for, you know, for fans of different branches of things. Like if you're a fan of anime, or if you're a fan of wrestling, or if you're a fan of music.
Sure. Yeah.
Or
you
whatever,
keep it fresh.
Yeah, whatever niche
Good
arts that are out there, you know, we've got something for that. So it's almost nerd kind of culture, but still edgy in a way.
Edgy nerd.
Yeah.
That's what I'm heading towards. I want to be an edgy nerd. Yeah. An EN. Just call me an EN.
So, I mean, it's
Bill
very...
Cooper, EN. Can I help you?
Like, we still... We'll talk about some pretty like crazy stuff, but we still want people to learn something from it at the end of the day. You know, like we're educating people by making them laugh. That's like what I want. Basically, everything we're doing to be about. Like people, I want them to come away having learned something.
Good, and as I said, I was happy to be a guest on your show because I liked what you did in that, and you guys brought the equipment over to my house and did it. And I don't know if it was you or Gerard who made the comment at the beginning, oh, like we finally made it to the Bat Cave or something like that.
Yeah, and the episode we did with you was really good because, you know, we needed to get the perspective of what America was like growing up, like from someone that was actually in it.
That's right.
We're like way younger than you. All we know is
said
like
way younger.
No, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. As I say, if you're 24 years old, I've slept your whole life. So you know, I can't deny that. I'm glad I'm here. I'm glad I'm still here. So I don't deny it.
Yeah, and
I used to say if lying about your age changed it, everyone would be liars.
Yeah.
So.
And I mean, we need that perspective from people to like straight from them to see like what it was like, you know, and that's that's what I always wanted every episode people to be able to learn something. And that's what we focused on with you,
Right.
telling us
Yeah.
what the experience was like back then as opposed to now.
Yeah, and the wooden utensils didn't give you a clue when you came to my house. And yeah, and no, it's as I said, it's always a pleasure seeing you, Nichelle, and seeing you, Jay. We have a Nichelle Stephens and Jay Bogus. We're getting ready to wrap up. We got a few more minutes left. And is there anything that I haven't touched on that either one of you would like to talk about?
Well, I guess I would love to let people know about the school that I'm involved with, because I'm on the board of a new school that actually just got some press in the Savannah Morning News. Susie King Taylor.
Oh, super.
Yeah, it's a new charter school. And it's K through 4, and it was a story about the school in the paper last week,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm really proud of it. It's taken some time away from me doing comedy as much because I had a lot of evening meetings that I couldn't go and do comedy. But it's exciting. It's a K through 4 free public charter school, and it's,
Well, super.
yeah, and doing a lot of innovative things. It's kind of like a Montessori hybrid. I'm not an educator, but I really want to be involved in the community of Savannah, and educating and bringing up little learners is very important because they'll be taking our places in the next 20 years.
Seriously, as I say, you mentioned it, I came from a different era, and I did. And sometimes I realize I'm saying things that you don't get because you didn't experience it. So, I try not to be preachy or to, this is the way to be. But, it is a different era. And I just, I love what everyone's doing. As I said, back when I was young, everything wasn't great. Things had to change. And thank God they headed in the right direction. They had to change. It wasn't right. And I never thought it was right. I just grew up in a community where everyone was different. We had every different neighborhood. No one was better than anyone else. That was it's just, they're friends. That's all they were friends. And then, as I got older, I saw different communities that it wasn't quite that way. And I never understood it and never bought into it, never will. Anyway, Jay, any final thoughts here?
Well, I just want to let everybody know we're on Facebook at 21 Nuke Salute. You can follow the page. Basically, anywhere you Google 21 Nuke Salute, we're there. Our website, I think we're working on getting our website back up, but it should be up soon. But all our material is on the Facebook page. And I just want to remind everybody that there is nothing more American than punching a Nazi.
Yeah, and they ain't Americans. I'll just put it there. They are not Americans. So, I don't get into political stuff, but there's just no redeeming value. They're not even human. Yeah. Anyhow, once again, great to have you two guys here. We still have a couple of minutes to chew up, so let's.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's
Anyone
chew
want
it
to
up.
try? Want to try a new joke? Because this way, if the audience doesn't get it, we don't know. Until they storm the station. That was awful. Don't do that joke again.
No, I can't come up with like a joke off the top of the
and
dome.
that's good.
That's hard. That's hard.
The test. It's hard for anyone.
It's hard.
Okay, here you go. Jay has
I'm
one.
going to tell a dirty joke real quick for the radio. For the radio.
Okay.
All right.
I trust you.
Okay. The dirty joke is Johnny fell in the mud.
Twice.
Yeah. All right. Now for a clean joke. He took a bath.
See how easy comedy is, kids?
Yeah.
Anyway, this has been a great night. So enjoyed having you here, and I thank you again for coming. Once again, the show is called Savannah at Night, and it's on Sunday nights at 5 o'clock. And my name is Bill Cooper, and tonight my guests have been Jay Bogus and Nichelle Stephens, and we are WRUULP, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings Community Radio with Global Soul.